Okay, the next one is there's a lot of master data, and when I talk about master data, what you see over here is this. That could be your channel partners, that could be customer data, that could be product data, it could be pricing information, and if we talked about earlier with the contract lifecycle management, it could be contract data. So now you have all this data, but think a couple of slides back when we showed the CRM, the CPQ, and the ERP system. Every one of these systems has this data, but they could have different formats. If you look at an example like with the customer data, every customer has a customer number. Mm-hmm. In my CRM system, it might be 10 characters long. In my CPQ system, if it's not integrated, it could be different, but in case of Novus CPQ, it's the same. So let's say in Novus CPQ, it's 10 as well. Now, when I have my ERP system, my enterprise resource planning system, which could be an SAP, an Oracle system, and I say, oh, over there the number is 15 long. So now, as you can imagine, if I use one of these numbers in my ERP system, I will have a problem getting these numbers. If I use the whole 15 digits, if I want to use that in my CRM and CPQ system, that's potentially an issue. So that's something you need to think of ahead of time. Mm-hmm. That has been around for quite some time. That's not unique to CPQ. That was probably something you ran into if you have any ERP systems before. Was the same thing when you had legacy systems, you switched to Oracle or SAP or whatever. It's a mapping exercise that needs to happen. If the vendor already thought about these integrations, it will save you some integration time. It doesn't have to be, so you could use very different systems. What you have to keep in mind is the potential additional work that's required to integrate this data between. And as you can imagine, is like the customer master data is not just one file, right? So if you think a bit back by, for example, SAP, I was doing SAP consulting for some time as well, right?
I'm sorry to hear that, yeah. Just kidding.
No, and there were many tables underneath this, right? So it's not just one field, not a simple exercise where you go into an Excel spreadsheet and do this mapping very quickly. So it will require quite some time, and if you do select a tool that requires this integration, you need to assign someone who's looking at this right from the start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically from this best practice, and you've talked to me about this before, before you get started with the project, and maybe even before you select your tool, you want to really understand what the information is you're going to have or you're going to need, and where it is, and maybe even get some owners or identify the people who own that information and start to loop them into the project. Is that right?
Exactly.